everyone, welcome to another edition of News Generation. My name is Ifwa Akwa Harrison. On this episode, 29th August 2013. Does the day ring a bell? It was Judgment Day here in Ghana. We tell you what young people think a year after the end of the election petition. Do you know anyone who uses herbal drugs? Well, the health ministry is asking people to be careful. But who is responsible for getting the drugs off the streets in the first place? You share your thoughts. And we visit the Kolegono beach to learn how to make miniature canoes. All these and more coming up on News Generation. Please stay with us.
Supported by Cowbell with Vitarid.
Join us on Facebook and Twitter. It's facebook.com/newsgenerationgh. On Twitter, find us at NewsGenGH. Do you remember Judgment Day? It is the day, months of battle over pink sheets, over voting, no signatures came to an end. And the Supreme Court delivered its verdict on the election petition. A year on, what lessons have we learned as a people?
I remember that before the verdict was announced, there were some speculations about which party had won.
After the verdict, some people were sad, like they were actually crying, while others were rejoicing.
My lords, for the 1,826 polling stations, totaling 791,423 votes, we would like the court to annul the votes because they are illegal.
Unhappy with the outcome of the 2012 polls, the MPP went to the Supreme Court. For nearly 5 months, Ghanaians were glued to their sets. It was not for fun, but a critical national issue. For the first time, there was an uncertainty over who had won Ghana's presidential elections. There was intense battle over evidence in the Supreme Court for months.
We're questioning the authenticity of this document that has just been sprung on us.
I heard something being said that something may have been added later. How do we know that it wasn't blotted out in photocopying? How do we know that? It's a serious allegation.
There were times when tempers flared, and there were equally some fun-filled moments. Then came the period where those who had made bad remarks about proceedings were dragged before the court.
I offer an unconditional apology and withdraw the comment and the choice of words that were used, which might have embarrassed the court or embarrassed your lordships.
Find him guilty of intentional criminal contempt of this court. We impose on him a fine of 5,000 Ghana cedis or in default 6 months imprisonment. In addition, he should sign a bond to be of good behavior.
But finally, on August 29, 2013, the dust settled and the 4-minute verdict was given.
Overall effect is that the first respondent was validly elected and the petition is therefore dismissed.
After 1 year, what are the lessons Ghana can draw from the election petition?
Look at how many elections we've had and how many people will dare stand up and go and challenge the Electoral Commission. And I think we should learn a very valuable lesson. Even if you think you have a small chance, just try, take it and have confidence. Because if you have confidence, you can do anything. We should resolve to solving issues by using the rightful means, but not taking issues into our own hands.
So, what do you recall about the election petition? A song? Some big words? Share them with us on our Facebook wall. Now, the sale of herbal drugs on buses and lorry stations is becoming a problem. This is according to the health ministry. So, citizens are being cautioned. The ministry says it cannot guarantee the safety of the drugs. Anyway, Adelaide caught up with some pupils of Crown Prince Academy to discuss the issue.
So now the health ministry is asking the general public to be very wary of medicine sold on buses and at lorry stations, explaining they cannot vouch for the safety of such medicines because most of the vendors are unlicensed. I am joined by some students of the Crown Prince Academy in Accra, and we are going to have a short discussion on this issue. What do you think about this?
I think the police should arrest them to check their license if they are qualified to sell medicines in buses, and also the Food and Drugs Board Authority should also guarantee their medicines if they think it's okay for human consumption. That's what I think.
Well, as of now, Ghana's economy has run down. So what I think is that government should help those people go into business with other herbal hospitals so that they can teach them what the medicine does and their preventions and causes.
I think they should go and look at the medicine, like know what it does, whether it's good for human consumption, because those who sell in the buses, due to the economy, like there's no employment, so they use that to get income to help their families and pay the fees of their children.
Okay, so are you guys encouraging the sale of drugs on buses and then lorry stations?
Well, I'm somehow encouraging it because because Ghana's economy is down right now and they want something that will give them income to cater for their families, and that's what they use to cater for their families. So the Food and Drugs Board should check if it's okay for us to take, then they can sell in the buses.
It's yes and no. Yes, because some people in Ghana, like they don't have enough money to go to the hospital to buy the orthodox medicine. And they think the herbal medicines work better than the orthodox medicine. So yes and no. Sometimes they are very harmful. They tell you it can do that, but when you take it, maybe it worsens your case or brings more infection into your body.
So now the Ministry of Health that I know that are in charge of our health are now saying that they can't guarantee the safety of those drugs. So what do you think about that?
I don't think they should say that because that's their job. Their job in Ghana here is that they should check medicines and guarantee if they are okay. So I think that they shouldn't say that, they should check their medicines.
So I think they should look into the medicine, and if it's good, they should authorize it. But if it isn't, then they shouldn't.
Okay. Any words for the public on on buying herbal drugs?
I think that the public should wait. When the Food and Drugs Board had checked the medicines and they think it's okay, then they can buy the medicines.
They should also check whether the medicines are having labels and address, where if there's any problem they can go to.
And I advise those who sell on the buses to also put information on the medicines they sell, like their contacts, what they use in preparing the medicine, so that if any problem arises, the people can contact them and whether refund their money or find a better cure for the disease.
And you have heard the views of the people from Crown Prince Academy. If you are home and you are watching us and you want to join us in this discussion, you know where to go. It's facebook.com/newsgenerationgh.
Remember, the views expressed by young people on News Generation are their own and do not reflect the views of News Generation or its staff. Now, the Food and Drugs Authority has already banned the practice of selling drugs in vehicles, but that doesn't seem to have helped the situation. So we followed up with them to answer some questions.
Now, during our discussion, some issues and questions came up, and I'm not in the best way to answer all these questions. So I followed up to the Food and Drugs Authority, and I am joined by the Head of Communications, Mr. James Latte, and he will answer all our questions for us. Hello, Mr. James Latte. Welcome to News Generation.
Thank you. When you look at the Public Health Act, Act 851, it states it so clear that nobody has the right to import, to export, to manufacture, to sell, to distribute any herbal medicine unless it has been registered or given approval by the Food and Drugs Authority. So the point is that anybody who wants to go into herbal preparation, that is herbal business, selling of herbal medicines and things, the first will have to first seek approval from us. And it's only when we have given approval that the person can sell the medicine to the general public. Well, we have practice aspects and we have product aspect. When it comes to the product, that is where FDA comes in. So if, for instance, FDA finds anyone selling products that have not been given approval, or products are expired or unwholesome products, we can then take you on. We can hand you over to the police, or even the law permits us to institute what we call an administrative fine of an amount not less than 25,000 Ghana. Which we can when you do that wrong. Now, aside that, I think that the Traditional and Alternative Medicine Directorate also comes in. Do also assist in dealing with these people. And as so if, for instance, somebody flout the law, I think they can come in. So it's collectively done. We have done a couple of soaps with the police where we've arrested people. Some we handed them over to the police for prosecution. You see, the challenge is this. You move with the police, you arrest people, you leave there, they go back. So we have been emphasizing that if members of the public will do what we call self-regulation, where you know that medicines sold on the open sun are not safe. Medicines sold in buses, you cannot assure their safety. If consumers advise themselves, don't look buy from such places. And to us, if consumers refuse to buy medicines from such places, people will stop selling at that place. But so long as there is a demand, there will be a supply. We've had instances where people were selling herbal medicines in buses and things. When they were arrested, the whole thing were fake. I mean, there was nothing in it. And you see, if you buy such products from a recognized shop and there is a problem, the authority can easily trace, go back there and investigate and deal with the issue. But when you buy it from peddlers and there's a problem, you go there, you don't find that peddler there again, then it creates a problem. So we are advising there's no problem. As long as we'll continue to be dealing with these things, go to the public, try to deal with these issues, we are expecting members of the public to be self-regulatory by refusing to buy products that are sold in buses and on the markets. The best way they can help is to refuse to buy, to reject those products. Aside that, they should also propagate the message by talking to their friends that buying medicines in buses or medicines that are being peddled are not safe, so do not buy them.
Over 6,000 cholera cases have so far been recorded in the country since the outbreak in July this year. Out of concern, the Deputy Chief Executive of the Food and Drugs Authority, John Odame Dakwa, has also added his voice to the fight against cholera.
Well, the cholera issue is very unfortunate because it's something that can easily be prevented. And basically, cholera, the microorganism responsible for cholera, is not anything that we don't know, but it's all because we as a nation have a little bit negligent in personal hygiene and environmental hygiene. This is one document we have used to help street food vendors and caterers and traditional food caterers to help them at least observe stepwisely how to keep their items clean. First of all, we said that you need to purchase ingredients from the right source. Secondly, we say when you receive the ingredients, you should also make sure you store them well such that you do not encourage contamination at the point of storage. Then the third stage is that you store the ingredients and in a manner such that you don't compromise its storage. If it is meat, it should go into either freezer, or if you're going to use it not long, then it goes into a refrigerator. Yes. Then preparation. In preparation, we are saying that wash your hands first. And all the chopping boards and all the place where you do the cooking should also be clean. Cooking should be adequate. Adequate means boil it thoroughly well. Boiling is the critical step that destroys the organisms. So if you don't cook very well, then you are likely to carry over germs to the people who are potential consumers of the food. So cooking is a critical step. Then we are saying after cooking, the keeping quality. How do I keep it? You should keep it, and the food must be eaten a little bit warm. Now, food must also be held warm. So if it can be kept in an insulator or a flask or some material that will keep it warm at the point of sale, it will help. Then we are saying where you are in doubt, if it is too cold, you must reheat the food before you eat it as a consumer. And then finally we said during 7, make sure the food is warm all the time and is clean at any time, whether at a chop bar, whether by the cocoa side, by the roadside, it should be clean so that people will not be contaminated.
Do you like fish? What's your favorite? Well, it seems a lot of Ghanaians like tilapia, and guess what? Some of it is imported. But now Ghana has banned the importation of the fish to encourage the growth of locally produced tilapia. It is even expected to create over 50,000 jobs. Isn't that great? But who cares what I have to say? Here are your views on what's up.
Actually, I think it's a good idea by the Ministry of Fisheries. It is because when we import tilapia from the other countries, actually we don't know the lake where it is from, whether it's being polluted or not, and it can give us, health problems that we may not even solve in Ghana, and it can also lead to the death rate in Ghana. And I also think it's important because it helps, broaden the local market.
It's a good idea because it's be able, if we ourselves are able to practice the fishing, and we export the tilapia to them, we'll be able to gain foreign income.
Most youth in Ghana don't have jobs nowadays, so if they have stopped importing tilapia from the foreign countries, they can train some of the youth that don't do anything. They can train them in fishing and fishmongering and other things, so that they can get employment in Ghana.
I think this initiative by the ministry headed by Ms. Shariaite is a good idea, since it helps to reduce the killing of the population, which also helps in increasing the manpower of the nation, which helps the country to develop more, since most of the youth will now engage in those acts which will help the country to develop.
I think the huge processing companies in Ghana should partner with the fish farmers, so when they catch the fish, they will take it and pay them and process the fish. With that, they can pay tax to the government to increase revenue for Ghana.
There are other stories on the local news front. Here's a roundup.
The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is set to stop the burning of e-waste at the Agbogloshi scrapyard by August 2015. The move, which forms part of the agency's action plan to tackle the e-waste menace in the country, will also see the rehabilitation of the scrap dealers in the yard. Burning of e-waste at the Agbogloshi scrapyard, although provides a source of livelihood to about 600 people, the open release of toxic substances in the atmosphere remains worrying. President and ECOWAS Chairman John Dramani Mahama has urged more international support for member countries battling to contain the spread of Ebola. Opening the ministerial conference of ECOWAS health ministers in Accra, President Mahama called for implementation of measures to contain the disease and not isolation of affected countries. More than 1,550 people have died with more than 3,000 confirmed cases, mostly in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, 6.7 million Ghanaians fall within the UN definition of poverty. The Ghana Living Standards Survey was conducted by the country's statistical service in 18,000 households in 1,200 enumeration areas between 2012 to 2013. According to the United Nations, poverty is a total absence of opportunities, accompanied by high levels of undernourishment, hunger, illiteracy, lack of education, physical and mental ailments, emotional and social instability, unhappiness, sorrow, and hopelessness for the future.
Still to come, a trip to the Kolegono beach to learn how to make canoes. After this.
When your kids need it all, there's only one drink that's got it. Cowbell Chocomalt. It's got the delicious taste of chocolate, the nourishment of malt, the all-round goodness of milk, and sugar for energy, all in one sachet. All I add is water, hot or cold. Now, that's real value. And that's real teamwork. Cowbell Chocomalt, 4-in-1 value with a great new taste.
It's still News Generation with me, Ifwa Akwa Harrison. Now, some young people who live around the coastal communities of Kolegono have a way of making very special canoes. Shay Adam went to the beach to talk to the children about the reason behind their inspiration.
14-year-old Niansa already knows what he wants to be when he grows up. A canoe maker and repairer. He's learning from his father, who is a fisherman. He spends a lot of time at the Kolegono beach with his friends. They make all kinds of miniature canoes from empty things like this. Many of the children here come from fisher families. The children are in school themselves, but some of them say they help their parents to remove fish from nets at the seashore here during holidays. "14-year-old David Botwe also plays here with his friends, but he does not want to remain here in future. He dreams of becoming a pilot.
I want to be a pilot. I'll build a big house too. I'll go and take them to camp.
But Niansa is very keen on remaining here to become a canoe maker and repairer.
No one taught me how to make it. I want to repair canoes in future.
What do you want to be when you grow up? Is your mom or dad's profession having an influence on your decision? Well, let us know on Facebook. Also send us a message with your name and age and tell us what you want to be in future. We have something special in store for you. Islamic State. They have brought fear and terror to many Iraqis, Syrians, and other foreign citizens around the world within a year. This jihadist group wants to establish an Islamic State where Sharia law is used in Syria and Iraq. The world has come to realize the danger posed by the Islamic State or ISIS.
Islamic State stands with Al-Qaeda as one of the most dangerous jihadist groups after it gained ground in Syria and Iraq. Islamic State is known to be even more brutal. The group was formed in April 2013, growing out of Al-Qaeda in Iraq. It has since become one of the main jihadist groups fighting government forces in Syria and Iraq. It is not clear how big the group is, but it is thought to include thousands of fighters, including foreigners. Abubakar al-Baghdadi leads ISIS. Little is known about him, but it is believed he was born in Samarra, north of Baghdad, and joined the insurgency that erupted in Iraq soon after the 2003 US-led invasion. In 2010, he emerged as the leader of Al-Qaeda in Iraq, one of the groups that later became ISIS. Baghdadi is regarded as a battlefield commander and tactician, which analysts say makes his group more attractive to young jihadists than Al-Qaeda. Islamic State has fighters from the UK, France, Germany and other European countries, as well as the US, the Arab world and the Caucasus. Unlike other rebel groups in Syria, ISIS is seen to be working to establish an Islamic State that stretches from Syria to Iraq. The group has seen considerable military success. In March 2013, it took over the Syrian city of Raqqa, the first provincial capital to fall under rebel control. In January 2014, it took advantage of tension between Iraq's Sunni minority and the Shia-led government by taking control of Fallujah in the western province of Anbar. It also seized large sections of the provincial capital, Ramadi, and has presence in a number of towns near the Turkish and Syrian borders. The group has gained a reputation for brutal rule in the areas it controls. However, it was its conquest of Mosul in June that sent shockwaves around the world. Iraqi security forces fled as fighters of the group came into Mosul. Many believe the fall of Iraq's second city poses a threat to the entire region. Initially, the group relied on donations from wealthy individuals in Gulf Arab states, particularly Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, who supported its fight against President Bashar al-Assad. They earn significant amounts of money from oil fields it controls in eastern Syria. Their threat to kill ethnic Christian minority group, the Yazidis, who failed to convert to Islam, caused the world to sit up. Also, a video showing a jihadist killing American journalist James Foley shocked many. Although the US has been bombing areas under their control, it has not weakened the ISIS threat.
واجعل الإيمان من خير العتاد أذن الداعي فهيا للجهاد واجعل الإيمان من خير العتاد والردى من أجله.
Let's take a quick trip around the world. The only clinical trial data on the experimental Ebola drug ZMapp shows it is 100% effective in monkeys, even in later stages of the infection. The researchers publishing their data in Nature said it was a very important step forward. Yet the limited supplies will not help the 20,000 people predicted to be infected during the outbreak in West Africa. Out of 7 people given the drug, 2 have later died from the disease. ZMapp is still in the experimental stages. Microsoft's Windows Live Messenger will be switched off in China in October, marking a final end to the 15-year-old service. Originally known as MSN Messenger, it was launched in 1999 but was switched off for most users in 2013 after Microsoft bought rival Skype. Users in China continue to use the old service but will now be transferred to Skype by October 31st. Chefs in Mexico have cooked up an enormous dinner, an 85-meter-long enchilada. The tasty treat was made of cheese, vegetables and sauce and weighed more than 900 kilograms. Amazingly, it was still too small to make it into the record books. And now to the world of sports.
former chairman of Ghana Football Association, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, says the association's decision to get a technical advisor for the Black Stars has affirmed the clear incompetence of Coach Kwesi Appiah. He said the proposed technical arrangements would only impose a financial burden on the nation, since the technical advisor's role will be a duplication of the job of a coach. The Elephants of Ivory Coast will be disqualified from the 2015 African Cup of Nations if they fail to play their qualifier against Sierra Leone because of fears over Ebola. The Ivorian government will not allow the match, which is scheduled for September 6 in Abidjan, to go ahead. Ivory Coast said their options are to relocate the game or forfeit, but a CAF spokesman said if a country forfeits one qualifier, they will be disqualified from the championship. Nigeria's football championship has been suspended indefinitely. The strike is a protest by referees over leadership crisis in Nigerian football. Officials have taken action following a controversial Nigerian Federation election on Tuesday, which has split the governing body. The Nigerian Referees Association has withdrawn its members from matches until sanity is restored. Top seeds Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams are through to the third round of the US Open. They both secured straight sets victories on Thursday. Serbia's Djokovic beat Frenchman Paul-Henri Mathieu 6-1, 6-3, 6-0. Defending women's champion Serena Williams thrashed fellow American Vania King 6-1, 6-0 in 56 minutes.
Alrighty, that's it for this edition of News Generation. Thank you for spending time with us. Remember, we can continue the discussion on social media. We're on facebook.com/newsgenerationgh. Also find us on Twitter @newsgengh. Have a good rest of the weekend. Supported by
Cowbell with Vitarid.